Hello and welcome to Living Creative with Pixie Princess. Today we are yarn shopping at our local craft store to help you decide which type of yarn you need to buy for your project. So stay tuned. All right, so first let's talk about what you're going to be using the yarn on. If you're going to loom, most looms you can see here are wide gauge. So you'll need a thicker yarn for these, but you can buy smaller gauge looms. Now let me just preference that I pick the yarn out based on my looms. Now, if I'm going to crochet, I pick the hook based on the yarn I want to use. The same if I am knitting with needles. I pick the needle size based on the yarn. So with that said, let's go look for yarn to use on a wide gauge loom. Okay, so I'm looking for yarn to use on a wide gauge loom. So I need a chunkier yarn. Let's see what we can find here. Ooh, this is pretty. Now, you want to look at your label. You see that? This is a 6. That is perfect for a wide gauge loom. Now let's see if there's any other yarn that we could use. Okay, now I'm looking at this one. This is a very lightweight. This will not work on the wide gauge loom. But keep this in mind if you like that yarn. Okay? Why don't we go down some other aisles and see what they have. Let's see. Okay, now this yarn is a 4. Now you can use this yarn on a wide gauge loom, but you would have to double the strands. So you would take like 2 balls and use 2 strands like so as one. Now, if you are new to loom knitting, I don't recommend this because it can get confusing. But if you don't think you would get confused and you've been looming for a while, you can do this. I just love this color yarn and I want this yarn, but I only have a large gauge loom. So just use 2 strands as one. Let's see if we can find a chunkier yarn that would work too. Go right here. Okay, this one right here is a 6, and it would work as well on a large gauge loom. Okay, so let's talk about, this is looming. You want to crochet, so you pick the crochet hook. Okay, so right here, it recommends an 8mm crochet hook. If you're knitting with needles, it recommends the 8mm needles. Let's find a smaller gauge. Okay, so this one is a medium weight 4. And if you look, it recommends a 6.5mm hook. If you're knitting with needles, it recommends a 6mm in needles. Let's go look at hooks and needles. Okay. Say I want to crochet a project using this yarn. So I need to find 8mm needles. So crochet hooks are down here. All right, so this one has some options. There's a pack of hooks here. Now the recommended size is this one here. Okay, say you wanted a tighter knit, a crochet though, you could use the lower down. So, like I said, I picked my yarn based on my loom, and I picked my hooks based on my yarn. Now this is a smaller gauge, and it recommends a 6mm right here. But this gauge, I usually use a 5.5 for some reason. So it just depends on the tightness of your stitch. Now I will say, like if I'm knitting a blanket or a straight panel, my first foundation chain, I use a larger hook, and then I go down, and then that way my stitches aren't as tight. So but for this one, for knitting, it recommends a 6mm. Let's try to find knitting needles. Also, you want to decide if you want to use aluminum or bamboo or plastic. You have choices here. So let's find 6mm needles. And of course you want 2. Now I like the circular needles. You can knit in the round and flat. It doesn't matter. So you just want to find okay, this is a 4. That's a small one. Here we go. This would go with this yarn right here. It's a 6mm. It's circular. Now remember, you can use circular needles to knit in the round or knit flat panels. You can't knit in this circular manner with 2 needles that are separated. So that's pretty much it. So I hope this information was helpful. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And then we will have some tutorials on knitting and crocheting in the future. So stay tuned for that. And until the next one, God bless.